Hi, it's Hope and welcome to the vlog. This is going to be my vlog from October 24th to the 30th. So if you want to see what I read this week, stick around. Currently, I'll just go what I'm currently reading because I have 2 books started. I am currently reading Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and I am on page 343, and this is essentially, I'm gonna suck at explaining this, but essentially it is a sci-fi told in mixed media, and it is essentially, we have, in this book, I'll say as much as I can without spoiling the first 2 books. This is the 3rd and final book in the Illuminati Files series, but essentially in this book we have these people on this mining colony that they're being controlled by this, kind of like evil, like technology industry, and we have Asha, who is on the rebellion side, and Reese, who is with the I think it's technically the Baytech Industries, I think is what it's technically the group is called. He's with them, and he's currently trying to help Asha with the rebellion. But then simultaneously we have people on this spaceship called the Mao trying to reach the colony to kind of save them, and that's kind of briefly what we are at. We follow the characters from the previous 2 books as well as the new characters of Ash and Reese, and I'm really enjoying it so far. This is gearing up to be a 5-star read. I'm listening to this audiobook and physical book. I'm borrowing both from my library because this is a series that if I do not read it's audiobook and physical book, I DNF the first book, and then I picked it up audiobook and physical book, the first book, and gave 5 stars. So when I read the ebook, DNF'd it, audiobook and physical book, 5 stars. And then I am also, well, last night I finished a book, and then last night I started a different book as well. But last night I finished Lords of Wrath by Angel Lawson and Samantha Rue, and then I'm currently reading Lords of Mercy by Angel Lawson and Samantha Rue. Lords of Mercy is the 3rd book in the Royals of Forsyth University series, and it's kind of a it's a very, 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 very dark romance. I'm not really going to explain it that much because, well, there's not much to explain. It's dark, it's full of trigger warnings, it's literally like absolutely so dark, the darkest shit I've ever read, and I've read Den of Vipers. Like, this is almost nothing compared to that. It has trigger warnings. I could list probably a million. Some of those trigger warnings for the first 2 books, not really as much, and this one is dubious consent / non-consent. There's physical abuse, there's humiliation, degradation. What else? Obviously there's a bunch of sexual content, and it's just intense, but that's currently what I'm reading. Currently 23%, and it says I have 4 hours and 26 minutes left in the book. The book is 600 pages long, and I started it last night, and my goal is to get it finished tonight so that I can start. I have two books on my TBR that I need to finish this week, and that is These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, which is a reread, and Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. Those are 2 books that I also will be reading this week, as well as I don't know what else. Today I babysat 2 of my cousins earlier, and then I'm currently like in the middle of editing last week's vlog, and that I think is all I have to say. I've probably said way too much long because this clip is probably already like 5 minutes long, so I will let you know what I read later. Like, probably I'll let you know how much I read of Obsidio, and like I don't really know what else to say. So it is now like 7 o'clock, and I've made it to page 424 of Obsidio, and trying to think of what I can say without spoilers, but we have a plan. I'm scared of how the plan's gonna go because the plan is about to start going through probably. I have that much left, which is like 180 pages left. So I'd love to try to get this finished by like Tuesday or Wednesday maybe. But again, I'm really enjoying it. I love these characters so much. That's like all I can say is like these characters, like they're not characters that I'm gonna constantly think about, but like, I do it's a thing, like, I can love characters but not constantly think about them, and some of these characters are definitely that. Like, I really enjoy the characters in this, and just the way it's such a unique story because of the way it's told, and that's pretty much all I can say. Everything else I want to say is spoilers, so I'm going to shut up before I start spoiling everything. But I'm now going to crawl into bed and start reading more of Lords of Mercy. I'm going to attempt to finish that tonight. It's 7 o'clock and I have like still quite a few pages left. I might technically not finish it before midnight. I might finish it after midnight. But I'll let you know sometime tomorrow. I don't want to say in the morning, but like sometime tomorrow, and give you my final thoughts on that. Okay, so I just finished filming my November releases. That's why I'm sitting on the floor in front of my bookshelf, because that's how I film. But last night I finished Lords of Mercy. I'm giving it 4 stars. I will say I hated the ending because, well, I hated not the ending, but like there was multiple chapters afterwards that was just like an extended epilogue, and it's the type of epilogue I hate. I hate when epilogues, especially in like dark romances, are like, oh, like 2 years later, oh, 3 years later, oh, 2 years later after that type thing, or ones where it's like, spoiler I guess for the ending, where oh, the main female character gets pregnant, and it's just like you spend 3 chapters on that, and I'm like, okay, I don't care, just like jump 5 years later and mention they have a kid. Like, that's the type of epilogue I like in that type of thing, not spending 50 pages dwelling on the pregnancy, and I'm like, okay, I don't care. It's 6:25, so I'm going to be watching another episode of One of Us is Lying. I've slowly been trudging through the series. I'm on episode 5. And I'm liking the show so far, but I'm going to watch another episode. I probably won't update until after I've read more of Obsidio, because I feel like shit's about to go down in that, and then I will be starting These Violent Lights by Chloe Gong later tonight, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so it's 8 o'clock, and I made it to page 466 of Obsidio, and literally shit is about to hit down, because it's essentially like our characters will arrive at the locations they need to be, and shit's about to hit the fan in approximately 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. And so I'm leaving that there. I am going to, this is going to sound insane, read the last, like, all that tomorrow, hypothetically, because I want to just binge the last part. So I might be doing that. I don't know. I'm loving it. But I'm just very curious, because apparently one character might be betraying us, although I refuse to believe it, because I know multiple times in this series something has been believed to have happened / to have occurred, and it actually hadn't. Can't really say what because of spoilers, and I feel like it's going to be another one of those situations, which I'd be very, very, very happy if it was. I also should mention that before that, I watched episode 5 of, right, episode 5? Yes, episode 5 of One of Us is Lying, and it's definitely taking a turn to the book, although I like where it's going in some aspects. So I will kind of want to try to finish off that show before the end of the week, because I'm dying to watch season 2 of Lock and Key, which I might just say fuck it and start like tomorrow morning before going to work or something. Because like I have a little time between waking up and going to work. I don't know, or I might read more of this. I don't know. But tonight I am going to be starting These Violent Lights by Chloe Gong. I've already mentioned it. This is a reread for me because I read it back in February. But I mentioned this in the video that I just finished filming not that long ago. But, well, this book, first of all, I'm going to struggle to explain it. Essentially, we have Juliet, she's traveled back now to Shanghai. She left for 4 years, and now she's back. We are in 1926 Shanghai, China, and we have essentially 2 different gangs that are at war with each other. We have the Scarlet Gang, which Juliet is a part of, and we have the White Roses, which Juliet's ex-love interest, somebody that she used to like, named Roma, is a part of it, and the 2 of them are, like, their families hate each other, and essentially when this virus type thing, I think, if I remember correctly, happens, the two of them have to work together, and it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling, if you haven't been able to tell by the story or the characters' names. I did give These Violent Delights 3.5 stars when I originally read it, but I feel like that is because I was rushing it when I was reading it, because I just really wanted to get it done and over with, because there was other books that I wanted to read, and this time I'm actually really excited to be rereading it, because I am very excited to see where the sequel goes, because I've heard that people say that Our Violent Ends, which is the sequel, is a lot better than the first, or like just as good. And I do really just want to finish off the series. I actually have an arc of Our Violent Ends, so that's why I'm wanting to reread These Violent Delights and then read Our Violent Ends and just kind of all that. Although I probably won't read Our Violent Ends until like beginning of next month. But These Violent Delights, that's currently what I'm going to be reading. I'm going to be starting it here in a little bit. This week is kind of like I trying to finish up my TBR / trying to outline the rest of my book, because I have less than a week to outline almost an entire book for Nano, because I'm participating in Nano, which essentially, if you don't know what that is, National Writing Month. Essentially, you try to write an entire novel or 50,000 words. My goal is 50,000 words, although I've never done that before. Typically, first drafts of a book have taken me about, I think, about 120-some, 30-some days, like well over 4 months for first drafts, and I'm trying to do it in a month. So I need that plan ASAP. But I'm going to leave this here. So it is 6:40 on Tuesday the 26th, and I haven't done much today. I did watch episode 6, was it, of One of Us is Lying, and I'm really enjoying it. Things are not very different, but things are different. Kind of as I mentioned earlier, it's more of like the show is adding things to the book plot to just thicken the plot more and make it have more twists and turns, which I am enjoying. I am currently about halfway through editing my November releases, which I'm going to finish that here soon. Like probably it's only going to take me another half an hour or so to edit. Then I'm going to continue with Obsidio. I made it to 14%, I think. 13 or 14% of These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. And I don't know how I feel. Like, I think I'm enjoying it about the same amount that I was the first time. But it is the first, like, 5... I think I'm going into chapter 6. I'm either going into chapter 5 or 6. So, like, what do you expect for the beginning of the story? I forgot a lot of the book, so I am curious on what's gonna, like, not curious on what's gonna happen, because I don't really remember much of the book, so yeah. I do feel like it won't be more than 4 stars, I can tell you that much, but I think it might bump its rating up from a 3.5 to a 4, maybe. So I made it to page 528 of Obsidio. I will 100% be finishing this book tomorrow, because the audiobook says it has 1 hour and 34 minutes, but I listen on 1.75 speed, so that's about an hour and 15 minutes maybe, give or take, less than that probably. Honestly, like an hour probably. And shit is hitting the fan, that's pretty much all I can say. The plan that we have set in place is working, but now shit's hitting the fan, and I just if I didn't want to read more of These Violent Delights or plan more of my book, I would finish this, but I want to do those because I want to get the outline plan for my book finished before the end of the week, and also I want to read more of These Violent Delights. I know that I wrote like 700 words for my outline last night, but my goal is about 2,000 to 3,000 words, and I'm not even finished that. I have so much more I still need to write down, so I'm going to be doing that tonight, and I don't really know what else I'm going to say. Okay, so first I want to say that I freaking forgot to write it down, but let me grab the iPad quickly. I got to 29% of These Violent Delights last night, and again, it's kind of like I'm enjoying it the same that I did before. So I'm like, like, I'm enjoying it, but I do find myself after, like, maybe about half an hour to 45 minutes of reading, I'm just like, okay, like, I'm almost, like, having to stop reading after about, like, half an hour, 45 minutes, and I do think I'm very iffy with historical fictions. Like, I've known this. I don't know, this one just might not be for me, although I will continue it because I do, like, I remember enjoying the characters. It's the characters that I really like. I really like, especially Roma and Juliet. Like, I do adore them as characters, especially their enemies to lovers. There's literally, like, a knife to the throat scene, and, like, anytime there's a knife to the throat scene in any book, I'm like, I love that. I love enemies to lovers, and in this, it's like enemies to lovers, back to enemies to, I don't know, like, to, like, at the end of the book, it's like, question mark, are they enemies, are they friends, are they, they could, like, all of the above, pretty much, and, like, that part I like, but then it's, like, the plot, I'm like, the plot I get lost in, I think, so I just need to kind of focus a little bit more and all of that. I've been to work and I found out some good news and some bad news. It's the same news, but I can't tell if it's good or bad. It's good in some reasons, bad in others. Is that after tomorrow, I don't work till the 15th of November because my bosses are taking 2 weeks off for personal and health reasons. That November 15th could be pushed back if the health things aren't amazing. I'm trying to keep it very vague, but like, yeah, which it's a good thing because that means that I'll be able to continue on with my schoolwork and catch up. I will be, because I'm participating in NaNoWriMo, I will have a little bit extra time, like an hour or two extra each day to write, which means I'll be more likely to get to that nano goal. But then on the downside, I'm not going to have income for 2 weeks, which it isn't a big thing. My income from my job is for my personal spending only. I'm very fortunate enough to live with, like, because I'm only 17, I live with my parents. My parents pay for everything of mine, like, except my extra things, which would be, oh, I want to buy this book. Okay, I have to buy it myself unless XYZ ABC. So, like, that one thing is, if anything, I'm like, okay, that means I'll have a little bit less money to spend on books, which honestly, I need to read what I have and only buy what I need. But I have the tendency to go, I need every single book I want. So that's a bad thing. But I am going to, because I'm just kind of like, I just did a math exam, so my brain is still mush from that. I'm just gonna, like, read some Obsidio and watch some sprints. Ro from Wandering Through Worlds is doing some sprints, and there's, like, 17 minutes left of a sprint, and I don't know if she's doing more. She probably will do one more or something like that. And I will just read some of this because I just don't want to do anything productive, so reading it is. So I just finished Obsidio. It's 5 o'clock, and I honestly don't know how I feel. Like, I love this series so much. I love this book. I'm trying to figure out how to wrap my words up. I honestly love the way it ends, because this isn't a spoiler, I guess, is essentially because the way that this is told, of how we're going through all of the, like, video transcripts and, like, the, like, chat files and, like, all of that type of thing, it was kind of almost like it's literally the Illuminae files that are meant to bring justice to the colony and to the people that were affected, essentially, and to put the company of Baytech Industries, which is the which is the group of people that essentially initiated the attack on the Carenza 4 colony. The files were put together to be used in court to shut down that company. And the way that the ending, we saw, like, the courtroom files of, like, how that went on and how like, I don't know, I'm just trying to, like, what I want to say is so much spoilers, but I also love, I literally love, this is something that I guess partway through of, the book is, I'm trying to find the exact line, honestly, that I'm thinking of. Okay, I can't find the line that I'm thinking of. I will continue looking because I'm now dying to know where that line is. But essentially there was a line in the book that essentially, because there are these like surveillance video summaries and like video, like journal transcripts and all that are like video files that they're read out by somebody, and essentially it's revealed that I find really cool. I'm trying to flip through and talk at the same time here, but there's like a line that is like essentially hints that one of the characters from the story is actually the person narrating it, but why you don't think that is because the voices sound different. And I like that of how it kind of almost hints to, oh, this one like analyst being one of our characters, and I find that so cool. That it obviously is not 100% confirmed, but it's heavily hinted, and like it kind of makes sense in some ways, and like I'm very sad to be done with our characters and all that. I also really quickly want to show, I want this piece of art. I want to see if I can find this. I don't care how much it will cost, I want this, but it is a art, like this is, but this is a like, it's meant to be like almost like a drawing of our 7 main characters from the 3 books, and I honestly want it because, like, I don't know, it's just like so, like, if this wasn't a library book, I probably would just say fuck it and like almost like rip it out of the book, but it's a library book. I just love that, and like I just absolutely, I'm sad to be leaving with these characters because this is the most unique series I've ever read, and I genuinely, like, this is a series I will 100% be rereading sometime in the future. I will not always think about it, but like I'm giving this a 5-star. All 3 books in this series are 5-star. I almost wish that there was more. Not that I want my characters to go through any more pain, but all I'm gonna say about this before I start babbling, I'll probably babble on about it more in my wrap up at the end of the month. So I'm gonna add this to my spreadsheet, and then I'm probably not going to start another book later just because of time and I want to film. I will be filming later, so I'll let you know how that goes, I guess. Okay, so I filmed my TBR pics, and I have spent the last, I kid you not, hour and a half trying to figure out this TBR. And I still have 1 prompt for a, it's for a readathon, so if I don't pick a book for it right now, that's okay. For the one like prompt for, the one readathon, I had to DM the people on Twitter to just ask. It was like just to like confirm that the prompt is like, I'm interpreting the prompt as it is, and then also I was like, can we double up, because like one of the books that is on for a different prompt in that same readathon I can use, or I could, if it's the way that it's interpreted the way I want it to be is, or the way I think it is, I could use a few other books from my TBR for this prompt, and can kind of leave it as like a loose prompt for like whatever book I read that I think fits the prompt will fit the prompt. Oh my god. But I'm going to continue reading These Valiant Delights. I don't know how far I'm gonna get. I don't care how far I get as long as I read it. And I don't know, I'm just gonna shut up now. Okay, so it's in the morning here, and I just want to say that I got to 53% of These Valiant Delights by Chloe Gong, and I think I'm starting to enjoy it a little bit more. I still don't think it'll be more than that 3.5, but you gotta think a 3.5 is still good. I don't know. But I also kind of finished One of Us is Lying. I finished the TV show, and okay, the ending is very, very different in the aspect that how do I describe it without spoiling the show or the book? But essentially, a character that there's a character at the end of the book that ends up being like arrested for being involved in like Simon's death. And then in the show, that person ends up dead. It ends with our main like 5 characters. It was 4 and then one person got added to the group kind of type thing. And it's essentially like it's a cliffhanger enough that there's probably plans for a season 2 of the show that would be just kind of entirely original. I do really like the creative liberties that the show took with the plot and the characters and all of that, because there was a bunch of plot points that were in the book, but I just feel like things were added to just make it better almost. Like I don't know, it was just like it's really good. Like it's definitely one of the better adaptations that I have watched, even though it took creative liberties in some aspects. I just feel like it took the characters, it took the plot, and just revamped it and made it more detailed, and overall gave it a better overarching plotline and a more mysterious ending. I definitely didn't expect the ending to go the way it did. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Okay, so I just finished filming my TBR video, and it's 7 o'clock, and I am going to here in a few minutes be starting Starsight by Brandon Sanderson. I'll tell you more about it after I read it, because it's all the way on my bookshelf over there, and I don't want to get up at this moment to grab it. But yeah, now I am officially I'm gonna call it on holiday from work till the 15th. This is gonna be a fun 2 weeks. Okay, so I read the first 48. I'm going on to chapter 48 of Starsight. I took the dust jacket off because I typically read books without the dust jacket unless they are library books. Like, for example, Obsidio was a library book. But essentially, Starsight, we follow Spencer, who she just wants to be a pilot. And pilots in this society, essentially, they fight off against these aliens called Creel that essentially they have been attacking the planet that our people have been on for the last 70 years. And Spencer, she just wants to be a pilot to kind of help her people, but she unfortunately technically cannot do so because her father was a kind of backed out of a mission and died, and now Spencer is labeled the coward's daughter, but somehow she finesses herself into flight school, as well as she ends up finding this mysterious cavern that features a piece of thing that essentially can change the way that the planet fights back, essentially. And this is the second book in the series, so I can't really explain much except we are 6 months later and Spencer is, guess, spoiler for the first book, for like the next 30 seconds. Spencer is a full-fledged pilot, and we literally entered this book with her in space fighting off against these things. And I'm gonna put the dust jacket down. When I just hold up this black cover, that's the book, gold text there, and a little embossed thing that says the DDF, which is kind of like the company, I guess, you might as well say. But I read Skyward in September, and now I'm reading Starsight, and I'm enjoying it so far. What can you do really in the first, like, under the first 50 pages? That's like my thing of always. I'm like, what can you do in the first blank pages? And I'm like, not much really, because literally nothing has happened really, except her getting bitched at by her boss, essentially, well, by her flight leader. Is that the technical term? Yeah, flight leader. And that's like pretty much it. So yeah, I kind of wanted to read more, but then a couple things happened that are like personal. And also now I'm just like so tired, I just want to crawl into bed to go to sleep. So I don't know how much of these Violent Delights I'm gonna end up reading. I'd love to get it finished by tomorrow night, because there's a book that comes out Saturday that I'm dying to read. Okay, so I made it to page 150 of Starsight, and this book took a turn that I didn't expect. Like, I knew nothing going into this book, I will say that first and foremost. I literally couldn't tell you anything about this book besides what I've read so far. Essentially, what can I say is, so, mild spoiler, I guess. So essentially, in this book, we have Spencer, who is everything I mentioned before, like I have in the previous book type thing. It almost feels like it's an entirely different book, like an entirely different series. Because in this, we have Spencer, who ends up faking being a different species with the help of like a hologram type thing to kind of go to this place and fake being this person, who's again a different like species entirely, and to steal something, but she has to go through these trials for this like other person's species, for them to become citizens of this bigger corporation almost type thing. And she's just trying to steal something, and yet she's going along through this, and she literally, like, I don't even know if that makes any sense. But, like, I don't know what's going on at this point, really. Like, I know what's going on, but I almost don't understand why. But don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying this because we're being introduced to more, like, species and, like, species of aliens, and, like, there's honestly a few, like, cool species that are things I've never seen in books before. But this is just so cool, and honestly, like, I struggled to put this book down. Like, I tried multiple times to put it down, and then I was like, nope, I need to read one more chapter. But I am calling it a night for tonight because it's already after 8:30. And I read over 100 pages of this. And I just feel like I need to digest what I've read so far, because there's so much going on. But I'm going to finish these Violent Delights because I made it to 78% last night. So I will be finishing that tonight, which is perfect timing for another book that I'm very excited for that's released tomorrow. I'll talk about that when I go to actually read it. But yeah, okay, so it's 9 o'clock and I have to go to my cousin to... I have to go to my cousin and my cousin's to help her with her printer, and then she just messaged me, was like, oh, when are you coming? I was like, probably like 9:30ish, and she's like, okay, LOL, her kid asking for you, and I'm like, aww. Yeah, I have to go help her with like setting up her printer and computer, and then a few other things. Because I'm that good cousin that will wake up at like 8 a.m. on the weekend to go over to your place to help you with something. if it's something that I'm capable of doing, which is I can set up a printer fairly well. I've done that multiple times in my life. Yeah, and then later I have to, and then I actually have to go over to her place, do stuff, come back home, and then later I have to watch her kid for a few hours while she goes to work. That's kind of the plan for today. I also need to upload my video, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Though, there's probably way more shit that I need to do actually. But yeah. I did finish These Violent Delights, and I'm sticking with my 3.5 rating. I feel like I can't give it anything more than that. I think it is just because it's almost too political, almost, for me, and I will read, like, political fantasies or anything like that, and this, I think it's maybe because it's, like, a historical fantasy, maybe, that's, like, throwing me off a little bit. I will be reading Our Violent Ends in November. It's on my TBR. I have an arc of it. And I really hope I like the second one better, because I feel like it's almost so hyped. Like, These Violent Delights is so hyped, and then there's me just sitting there like, it's mediocre. Like, I get I see the hype, I see how the story is worth the hype, but I personally am like, it's just okay, like, it's good, but not amazing like everybody says it is, and I almost feel like that I'm like maybe I don't understand the story or the relevance of some of the things, or I don't know, it's just, yeah. So today it took a very, very weird turn. So as I mentioned earlier, around 9:30 I went over to my cousin's to deal with a printer. We couldn't get her printer working because, like, her laptop and the printer weren't compatible, so, like, we have other shit we need to deal with that too. But then my cousin was like, hey, I'm just gonna run to the store, grab a few things, while I was there anyways, to watch her kid so she didn't have to drag him with, and, her kid ended up throwing up. So I spent all afternoon helping my cousin with her sick kid, because imagine trying to deal with a sick 2-year-old on your own when your kid has never had the flu or anything like that. Well, we don't know if it's the flu or anything because he was just throwing up, but it's a whole thing. So I'm exhausted because I purposely went to bed a little bit later, being like, oh, I'll sleep like about like an hour later than normal. I was like, oh yeah, I'll like go to bed like 1 o'clock, 1:30 I think it was. I'll get up at like 8, and then I'll go over there for a little bit, and then I'll come back and have a nap. I couldn't, and all of that, so I'm like so tired, and like, oh my gosh. But I did manage to finally upload my video as soon as I got home. So I got home about 5, and it's currently 5:30, and Pris from Pris Sprints is doing sprints, like, they're back in time sprints because of Europe switching their times back, like their times back an hour or whatever. Where I live, we don't do daylight savings time, so I don't have to deal with any of that shit. It's the same thing. We never switch our clocks around. But so during those sprints, I am going to be attempting to read more of Starsight. So I made it to page 235 of Starsight, so I've just now passed the 50% mark, which was kind of my goal, because now officially, if I don't finish this month, there's no punishment. Well, technically there wouldn't have been a punishment in general, but I'd make it over 50% because I will be reading more of it tomorrow. And this book I definitely do not like it as much as the first, although it still is enjoyable, and I'm trying to think of what else I can say without spoilers, really. But, like, again, I'm enjoying it. It's not what I expected, but thoroughly enjoyable. I've already said that and worded it multiple ways. It's definitely very, 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 very sci-fi, and almost a little too much, but still it's good. But yeah, I'm calling it a night for this. and I will be starting Her Soul for Revenge by Harley LaRoe, which essentially, I'm looking down at my phone here because I have the description of the book on my phone, and essentially, it's about, we have Juniper who, after a cult tried to sacrifice her to their wicked god, she went on the run, doing whatever was necessary to survive, and then a demon offered her a deal, her soul, for getting vengeance against those people, and that demon's name is Zane, who like agreed to take her soul in exchange for that, and then didn't realize that he'd maybe fall for her, and as an ancient god wakes from its slumber, neither of them are sure they'll survive. That's kind of very rough paraphrasing from the description. It's the second book in the Souls trilogy, although it's a series of standalones that are all interconnected. So like the characters of Juniper and Zane were in the first book, Her Soul to Take, which I read in September. So like I know a little bit about them. So I am very excited to read this, and this is is it adult or new adult, kind of like paranormal-ish romance. It is very 18 plus. There's a bunch of content warnings and all of that, which, yeah. And this came out literally today. So I'm wanting to make a dent in it, and I'd love to get this finished before the weekend's over, so like tomorrow night I'd love to have it finished by. But I'm not sure if I will, but I'm also going to leave this vlog here because it is 8:37 and I do not plan on picking up the camera anymore. So if you do want to see how I continue with Starsight, or how I do end up liking Her Soul for Revenge, you will unfortunately have to wait until my next vlog. But I really hope you enjoyed this video, and bye!